Support for WUWM podcasts comes from Johnson Financial Group, helping customers build financial plans around their unique goals for over 55 years. More at johnsonfinancialgroup.com. Johnson Bank and Johnson Wealth Inc. are Johnson Financial Group companies.
Mineral Point in Wisconsin's Driftless region is a haven for artists and art lovers. With a population of just 2,500, there is an entire economy based on the thriving art scene in the city. One of the places you'll find there is Shake Rag Alley, an art center that attracts visitors from across the region and world. The Art Center offers a variety of classes that pick up in the summer months. To learn more, Lake Effect's Becky Mortensen is joined by the Art Center's Executive Director, Christina Kubasta, and Amanda Weibel with Travel Wisconsin.
Christina, thank you for welcoming me to the Art Center last weekend. I found all of Mineral Point to be so charming, and the buildings that make up the campus there at Shake Rag Alley are especially charming and cute. So to start, could you just describe the Art Center for our listeners?
Absolutely. We do have a very charming campus. Our main campus is about 2.5 acres, and we have a number of buildings here that we offer our workshops in, and we have special events all over campus. That campus is about 2.5 acres. We have over 20 garden beds. There's a lovely spring-fed stream that kind of meanders through campus. Our buildings are, a number of them, historic buildings. We have an 1830s territorial log cabin. We have a Cornish cottage that was built in the 1840s. And then a couple other buildings from the 1840s and 1850s. We have green space on our green. And then we have our alley stage, which is carved out of an old quarry that we do some outdoor music in the summer. We also have our Alley Stage reading series where people can listen to a staged reading of a play in progress. Those are often on summer afternoons, and the dappled sunlight kind of comes through the trees. It's just a really beautiful and inspiring place. In addition to our main campus, we have a downtown building that's also a historic building across the street from our Lind Pavilion, which is this refurbished Quonset hut with these soaring ceilings. It's an art space where you can get messy and create and make beautiful things. We have a jewelry studio, and then we also have our hot shop where we do glass blowing as well. So all of our spaces are, as you said, sort of charming, but they're also really inspiring for all sorts of different kinds of creativity.
And how did Shake Rag Alley begin, and how has it changed and evolved into what it is today?
So Shake Rag Alley started in 2004, and the space had been rented for a couple years for what's called Woodlanders Gathering, which still continues today. In July at Woodlanders Gathering, it's a whole group of people who come together to make twiggy furniture and do some eco-dyeing. We call it summer camp for adults. And when that group of people learned that this main campus, this 2.5 acres, were going to be sold and essentially become private and no longer available to the public for art making, a group of artists and community members banded together to buy what is now Shake Rag Alley Center for the Arts to ensure that it would still be available for people to gather and to be creative. And we've been here since then. We celebrated, 20 years. We're looking forward to celebrating 25 years soon. And it's evolved from, Woodlanders Gathering then, and our first programming we offered was some after-school youth programming, to now we have, again, everything from glass blowing and blacksmithing and welding to mixed media. We offer creative writing. We still have that heritage craft, that rustic furniture building and mosaic. Painting in 2D, we have fiber arts with weaving and felting. So our programming has grown. This year, we're offering more than 300 adult workshops, and that doesn't include, pop-ups we add. We have special events throughout the summer. We have artist and writing residencies for artists and residents, especially during some of our winter months when it might be a little quieter in Mineral Point. We hold space for artists and makers to come here and spend some concerted time working on their craft, and then offering free community programs to, continue to enrich this Mineral Point and the surrounding areas. And then we have a robust summer youth program. So we offer classes June through August, with some camps, some 5-day day camps as well.
And you mentioned to me that the center draws people from around the world, and that includes the instructors for these classes. So, what can you tell us about that?
So yes, we have people come from all over the country. When we look at the registrations for classes, it's wonderful to see we draw from the area, we draw sort of regionally from the Midwest, and then we'll have people visiting us from California or Virginia or Florida. It's wonderful to see how many people come and visit us from all over the country. In terms of our instructors, we have some mixed media people in particular who visit us from Canada every year. And they're some of our really big draws, and people are excited to see them come back year after year. We've also had instructors come as far away as Australia to return, especially to teach in sort of mixed media and jewelry. So it's just wonderful to see that, we're this really welcoming space, here nestled in this beautiful part of Wisconsin, and people know us that way. But we're also an internationally known art center, and we gather here to make and to create together in community, and we keep drawing people from all over.
And in addition to some of those standalone classes you were mentioning, you also offer some retreats as well, right?
Absolutely. So we're coming up on our first retreat of the year, which is Jewelry Boot Camp. And that's 3 days of stacked workshops, jewelry workshops. So you can come and take a class if there's something that is really attractive to you. We've got silver metal clay, we've got enameling, fold forming, things like that. But you can also plan for a workshop a day and make a weekend of it. So that's coming up the first weekend in May. And then shortly after that, the third weekend in May, we have our writing retreat. And people can choose to engage with nonfiction or fiction or poetry. With our retreats, then we tend to have evening events as well. And then again in July, we have our Woodlanders Gathering. And we have people who have been coming to Woodlanders since the beginning. We make these special little name tags that are out of a little piece of wood. And we have people show up who wear sort of like a scarf with all of their name tags to show they've been here, 20 plus Woodlanders gatherings. So it's really lovely to see the people return year after year. For Woodlanders, we do picnics under tents. We do Woodlanders games. We have live music that Saturday night, and people dance on the grass. That's really lovely. And then in August, we have our art adventure, which is our mixed media retreat. And again, you can come for a class, but you can also come and make a full weekend of it, which is a lot of fun. And while not quite a retreat, we also do Fiber Fair in September, which is a really fun event. It's aligned with Cornish Fest, which is a big celebration in Mineral Point because of our Cornish heritage. European settlers who came here were Cornish, and that's a lot of the architecture here. That is a fun, free event we host here on the Shake Rag campus. We have pop-up workshops, demos, we have a maker's market. We have animals, so you can hang out and meet a sheep, and sometimes Angora rabbits and other things. So we do lots of things like that in addition to the standalone workshops that are a lot of fun.
And if people do want to make a weekend out of it, like you're saying, they have the option to stay right on the campus there at Shake Rag Alley. So what lodging do you provide for people who want to stay with you?
So we have 5 lodging spots in the Coach House, which is one of the buildings on our main campus. We have 3 lodging rooms upstairs. The Coach House was originally a rooming house, so we keep true to that with our lodging spaces. And then in our downtown building, the Sartison building, which is a block and a half, easy walking distance. It's another historic building that has been really lovingly restored. That building was left to us in a bequest by Roland Sartison, who is a much beloved artist and community member here in Mineral Point. And there's upstairs is Roland's Loft, which is a really charming artist loft space, studio space. And then the Tuck Point Suite downstairs, which is, stone walls, appointed with art and sort of quirky finds that was done by Roland. And there's a lovely little booklet telling you where all of these finds were, whether there's fossils embedded in the walls or artwork by various local and regional artists. Those are really, really special spaces. And those are listed on our website, and also Airbnb. And if you come and take a class with us, there is a discount for students taking a workshop with us for those lodging spots as well. And then additionally, there are just a lot of really wonderful places to stay in Mineral Point. We do have, a hotel, but there's also boutique hotels and Airbnbs, and it's just, again, a wonderful place to come and stay at for the weekend.
And you mentioned there are ways for college students and others to get discounts. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So we have a 15% discount for college students. We also offer 15% off to our volunteers and our instructors. Many of our instructors also take classes with us. So that's an option, to kind of, we have this community that just enhances itself and keeps building on itself. And then we also have a general scholarship fund, and all of that can be found on our webpage under, your workshop experience. There's a little tab there that says discounts and scholarships. We do have a variety of price points for our workshops. We do have some bigger names that come in, but we try to offer affordable options as well. Once a month, we have our Makers and Shakers, which is taught by local artists, and it's just a $5 project fee, but that fee is waived for middle and high school students. So we try to find ways to make our offerings more affordable. And again, there's a general scholarship fund. So if a person, really wants to come to a workshop, but it's out of reach, we urge them to contact us, and we will try to find a way to make that work.
Nice. Mineral Point has kind of a whole economy built around art. Can you talk about the artistic nature of Mineral Point and how it came to be a place for artists and arts culture to thrive?
Mineral Point I moved here a few years ago, and I just continue to be amazed by the spirit that animates this place, how I meet artists all the time, how people come here and are just inspired. We have 4 gallery nights a year. So we have galleries all up and down our high street, which is our main street. And those gallery nights, the galleries and shops are open late. Often you can meet the artists who have work. So those are wonderful nights to come visit. And those are in April, June, August. And then our December gallery night is also our candlelight shopping. And if you have not experienced the perfect holiday moment, there's chestnuts roasting on the corner of Chestnut Street. There are horse-drawn carriage rides. There are luminaries lining the streets. And we top it all off with a fireworks show that puts any 4th of July fireworks show just to shame, and we light a huge Christmas tree. So those are amazing. We also have our fall art tour, which this year is October 16th through 18th. That is here in Mineral Point, but also the communities of Spring Green, Dodgeville, and Baraboo participate in that. You can travel around on that weekend and see so much art. As artists open their studios and galleries, they're usually in the process of making something or doing a demo. So you can talk with the artists about their work in really interesting and meaningful ways as you engage with their work. We have, in addition to Shake Rag Alley, there are classes and workshops you can visit and, engage in making while you're here. And then in general, I have to say, I moved to this part of Wisconsin from further north. And prior to that, I'd never really explored the southwest part of Wisconsin beyond Madison. And the landscape here is just so stunningly beautiful and inspiring. I've really come to understand how it can, I guess, be an impetus for creativity and for us to, engage with this beautiful space and then be inspired to create beauty in new ways.
Yeah. Okay, Amanda, turning to you, what are some other things that art enthusiasts will want to check out in Mineral Point?
The Mineral Point Opera House is the community's historic performing arts venue. An extensive restoration process breathed new life into this former vaudeville house and returned its grandeur. And today you can enjoy a wide variety of entertainment there, including music from all genres. They also host open mic nights and movie showings and more at the Mineral Point Opera House. So check out their schedule, see if you can time up your visit to Shake Rag Alley to take in a show at the Opera House. You're also going to want to check out those shops and galleries that Mineral Point is well known for. You can find galleries for all sorts of artwork. One to check out is Brewery Pottery for their handcrafted heirlooms. You can browse all the wonderful pottery. It's made in-house by the owners. And you can also discover other artwork, decor, jewelry from local, regional, and national artists.
And Amanda, there's some interesting Wisconsin history in Mineral Point. What can you share about that?
Yes, Mineral Point has a fascinating history connected to the state's mining legacy. Early European settlers arrived in the Driftless because of rich lead and zinc deposits. And the miners in their tunnels gave Wisconsin its name, the Badger State. And immigrants from Cornwall, England, they were experienced at mining. Many of them moved to Mineral Point in the 19th century. They were also skilled at constructing out of stone. So today, you'll spot that Cornish legacy throughout Mineral Point. You'll see these gorgeous pre-Civil War stone structures. They are among the oldest in Wisconsin. Some of the finest examples are at Pendarvis. It is a Wisconsin Historical Society site that preserves a collection of historic Cornish structures and tells the story of its founders. Bob Neal and Edgar Hellam met during the Depression. They bonded over a passion for saving historic buildings. They fell in love and purchased Pendarvis House in 1935. In the decades that followed, the couple operated a Cornish restaurant that became nationally known, and they used the funds from the restaurant to help protect and restore more historic buildings. Tours are available, and Pendarvis opens for the season on May 28th.
And Mineral Point is in the heart of the Driftless region, so there are also some great things to do outdoors. What would you recommend?
Mineral Point is right on the Cheese Country Trail. This is a multi-use trail that stretches for 47 miles through the rolling hills of the Driftless, and it is especially popular for ATV riding. For something right in town, check out the Merry Christmas Mine Hill. You're going to find 2 easy hiking loops for a total of 1 mile, and the trail takes you past old mining artifacts, including badger holes, and gives you really great views of Mineral Point. For something a little further, detour to Yellowstone Lake State Park near Blanchardville. The park is crisscrossed by miles of trails, and it has one of the only lakes in the Driftless area. So during the summer, it's a great option for some swimming or fishing.
Okay, and after a swim or maybe after an art class, what are some places you'd recommend people grab a meal or a drink in Mineral Point?
One place to check out is Cow Tipper's Pub and Eatery. It's a small town pub that specializes in burgers. The food is promised to be utterly delicious. Another great option is Popolo Pizzeria. They serve wood-fired pizza that's a cross between New York style and Neapolitan. You're going to find all kinds of very creative, but also your fan favorite varieties of pizza. And don't forget to visit Hook's Cheese Company either. This Mineral Point cheesemaker is very famous for its aged cheddar cheese. You can actually find it featured on menus across the state. So make sure to check out their retail location that's open a few hours on weekdays.
And Amanda, what's something you think might surprise people about a visit to the Art Center or to Mineral Point?
Well, some people may think that a thriving arts community only exists in larger cities. And Mineral Point proves that wrong. Art really is at the heart of Mineral Point. It's a community of 2,500 and a small town art colony. The town is so intentional about preserving its history and heritage while welcoming new visitors to discover something unexpected and make some lasting memories.
So, Christina, you've been with the Art Center for a few years now. What's something you've heard from someone who visited Shake Rag Alley or has taken a class that really stood out to you?
One of my favorite things about being here is when someone takes a class that they didn't think they could do. Most of our workshops are for true beginners, and people will take a risk and try something new, and they will come out of that workshop, with something beautiful. We've had mothers and daughters take a class. We've had a young person, like in their teens or even tweens, take a blacksmithing class and wield that hammer and, make a post hook or make a triangle. And they come out, covered in soot and with this thing that they've made themselves, just, smiling ear to ear. And I think the discovery that we can try new things at any point in our life, we can think of ourselves as not creative and discover that we were wrong. I love that we are a place that can offer people those opportunities to surprise themselves.
Yeah. Well, Christina and Amanda, thank you both so much for joining me for Wandering Wisconsin.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Christina Kubasta is the executive director of Shake Rag Alley. Amanda Weibel is the communications officer for Travel Wisconsin. They both joined Lake Effect's Becky Mortensen for the latest Wandering Wisconsin. You can find more trip recommendations at WUWM.com.